kick things off, I mean, first of all, thank you for joining the podcast, John.
Of course, my pleasure. Most people don't greenlight me being in front of a microphone, so I'll do my best to keep this PG. But
I mean, bullshit's kind of baked into the title of it, so
okay, well that's fine.
It's kind of got a PG-13 label by default.
Yeah. We'll go with PG-13.
I don't know if either of us are R-rated individuals, so I feel like
not necessarily. No.
Not most of the time. So
no.
I feel like PG-13
There's
is
occasions
pretty safe
for sure.
space. Yeah. Well, first, it's like the whole point of this podcast, and I sent you the pilot, is really to just kind of talk about our journey as photographers, but in the midst of that, how we're still doing it. Because, like I said, I've met a lot of photographers who figured this passion for photography developed, whether it's the video side of things or the photo side of things, and they realized very quickly they could monetize it, and then they started doing exactly that, and they made a business, and they might be successful. Like Oscar is one of those people I think about who discovered he was good at it, and then he's still doing it as a business. Sometimes I wonder, and we talk about, like, do you ever go out and do this for you? Like, are you still passionate about it in that way? And I think he is. It's just harder because it consumes so much of his time professionally. But I want to talk to photographers who are still, like, fighting to, like, keep that passion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's very difficult because, you know, I'm typically the guy that I carry around a camera with me everywhere. I'm like the dude in high school that carried around the acoustic guitar and just waited for somebody to ask him to play Wonderwall.
Dude.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm that guy. I've always got a camera, and it's not always because I'm like, I need to document everything. Like, that's really exhausting for my brain.
Yeah.
There's moods that I need to be in and people that I can be around and activities that I can be a part of that make that work. But what it usually is the nerd part of my brain is wanting to test something out. Mm-hmm. And so I have very limited time. The only time that I may have a chance to do that is when a couple friends are like, hey, let's go out and grab a drink. Let's hang out for like a couple hours. Okay, cool. I'm going to bring my camera because I've been wanting to play around with this.
Yeah, there might be an opportunity in there to take a picture of that cool thing.
For sure.
That you were thinking about.
And you know as well as I do, there hits a certain point in everyone's photography career where you're not actively thinking about the things that you're trying to improve on. They're like broad strokes, and your brain is doing the hard work in the background, which is great. But things like framing and composition and some of that stuff that, you know, it's literally some of the most important stuff to any style of photography, whether you're doing stills or video, actually, for that matter. It's always running in the back of your mind. You're not like actively stopping and thinking about that. You know, you'd never get anything done if you were.
Yeah. And
so it's a good thing that happens, but because of that, you sometimes need to like slow down and stop and think about it. Mm-hmm. And think about the fact that you don't really think about it, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So I went back and I looked at a bunch of photos I had taken. I may or may not have been drinking, but I took some photos and I looked at them and I realized that the composition was like boring. Like every shot was like the same. It's not that it was bad. It was that there was no variety. There was no spice. And I kind of had to like take a step back and I was like, all right, hold on. Next time I take my camera out somewhere, I'm going to actively think about some of that stuff that's running in the background.
Right.
So that I can get better, first of all. You're always trying to get better.
Right.
But then also so that I can come out with some images that I am proud to like do something with, right? Show it to your friends or put it online or whatever.
What that makes me think about is you can understand the fundamentals, but there's so many different ways to apply those fundamentals. Like you are applying the same fundamentals that, I don't know, anybody who shoots for Nat Geo or anybody who shoots for Associated Press. Like we're all, I think, applying the same principles just in a different way. So to step back and say, okay, I know what I'm doing and this feels natural, but maybe I've gotten too comfortable applying those fundamentals in a particular way. So what if I get comfortable at shooting with a lower shutter speed or get comfortable shooting at a higher aperture? Like what's that going to do to my photography? How's that going to change? What if I shoot with primes instead of zooms? Like still the fundamentals, but applying them in a very different way that could fundamentally change your photography.
For sure. And I think there's so much that you can gain from just popping yourself into a different mindset for just a couple minutes, right? So you got a couple minutes to mess around. one thing that I'm very guilty of, because I'm in low light situations often. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty much always wide open on whatever lens that I'm shooting on.
Sure.
Not because I feel like, those out of focus elements are a crutch or whatever. Like, obviously your subject isolation is important in certain aspects, but one of my favorite movies is Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I don't know when the last time you watched that, but
I can't. Is that the one where he rips out his heart?
no, that's Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. I can't remember. It's
So Raiders,
probably been 25 years.
dude, that film is insane. Like that shit did things to my brain when I was younger, and it's still doing them, I think. But just my favorite movie, basically. But I went back and watched that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I watch it pretty often, but in lieu of everything that we were just talking about and how I'm kind of just always shooting wide open, it gives you a certain look, right? Like it's a look that people like, especially people that can't afford to buy their first full frame camera, and they're just like, wow, my depth of field and like all this stuff that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, for a lot of people, 1.4 is the first way they figure out how to get enough light into their camera because their sensors are terrible.
And that totally makes sense, because sometimes you're in that scenario where you're just like, that's the only option, right?
Right.
But in a lot of times, especially when you're shooting outdoors, that's definitely not your only option.
Right.
And so I was watching Raiders, and I was just noticing, I was like, wow, that, like classic Spielberg stuff, like the blocking in these scenes is so good, and just like, wow, everything is so good. But then I noticed, I was like, okay, all these scenes that are still beautiful, they still have good, they draw your eye to the subject, and they're designed meticulously to do that. But they have very deep depth of field. Mm-hmm. Like you can see a lot of stuff in focus in the frame.
Yeah.
And I feel like as young photographers, we're almost taught that that's like a bad thing, because we're always talking about like, oh, well, you want more separation. It's like, I get it for a portrait, you don't want distracting elements, but what if we want to see that person that's like walking in the background because that's part of the story you're telling or something like that? And so I feel like little things like that, when you watch a movie and you see like a color palette that you really like or something, those are little things that can sort of like kick your brain into gear.
Yeah.
And take you to sort of like the next step creatively.
Yeah.
And that the reason why all this is important is because I feel like this type of stuff rarely happens in like your work element, right?
Sure.
So the scope of the work that you're doing day to day, yes, you're still making things look good. You're still thinking about framing and composition and lighting and all those things, but you're not thinking about it as like passion project, full on like weird creativity mode. Right. You're thinking inside these boxes because you're like, well, this is the product that I need to deliver, and it has to be consistent, and this is what we usually do for these reasons. And so to look at some of those things and get inspiration from them for just like everyday creativity, I think is really valid. But we have to remember to do that.
Right.
And I forget all the time.
I want to go back and talk about because I don't think I really know. Like you and I met a few years back, and right around the time I was doing the Cold One Joe stuff, taking pictures of beer, you were doing stuff for craft, doing cocktail photography, and that's where I kind of like our paths crossed. And so I don't know where this all started for you, and I'm really curious.
The food and beverage stuff really just happened accidentally. So I guess if we rewind a little bit further, let me take you on a journey.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm a lifelong musician, as you know.
Yeah, you had that solo project a year or two ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been tons of stuff over the years, different projects, different styles of music. The one constant, though, is that I never make any money. And so the reason why that is important to this tale is that when I was in a band in...
But you've loved every minute of it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I think if I was making money, it would just really like...
Yeah.
Yeah. It would feel like I had to keep doing that thing, right?
Right.
I mean, that's part of the whole thing that we're talking about, is like no red tape.
Right.
Like, it's that teenage angst from growing up in the 90s where it's like, don't tell me what to do or what I can't do.
Yeah, I'll do it on my terms. Thanks.
But I was playing in a band with my best friends, one of the many music projects that we've had over the years, and we really wanted to do a music video. And we couldn't afford to, so I decided to go buy a camera on my Best Buy card, and we were just going to figure out how to use it, which we did. And the camera that I bought was the first generation of the Sony A7S, right? Which was a great camera for what it was. It was great for video specifically, but it was also actually a very good photo camera. And I hadn't had extensive experience using like DSLRs or anything else, and so at that point, mirrorless was like kind of new and like kind of quirky, and a lot of people were talking about that in the photography world, but like that meant nothing to me. So I was just like, this takes great video, let's do it. So I bought that camera, but because I'm a nerd and because I had to spend my own money on it, I was like, well, I'm going to use this thing. So I wanted to get really good at using it so that we could make the video, but I also just started taking photos to like kind of learn how different functions worked and things like that. And so that just sort of like catapulted me into taking pictures of everything.
Yeah.
Because I realized that just stuff was going on around me all the time that would make beautiful photos, right?
Yeah.
It's like that I don't know who's quoted as saying it, but it's that whole thing where it's like photography is just a tool that helps you to actually see the world, like, and its true beauty kind of thing. And I think that's actually really true.
Yeah.
It kind of
makes
like,
you more observant.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate like lighting and just some of the things that happen naturally that are beautiful, and it allows you to sort of like quantify why those things exist in your brain.
Right.
Like, why is the lighting so sexy right now? Oh, it's because it's golden hour, and it's like
Yeah.
you're getting these like long shadows. And so anyway, I just went on like a total journey for like a year with this camera, and I had one lens, one camera, one battery, which did not last as long as it should. And I just got
Back then, too.
I know. I got so much mileage out of that thing though.
Yeah.
And then I liked photography so much at that point in time. I really wasn't interested in video. That was like a means to an end kind of thing. So I liked photography so much that I kept that camera so that we could continue doing videos for stuff. But I bought a Nikon DSLR, and I think I just had one 35mm lens to start, and then I was able to get a zoom of some kind. It was one of those kind of budget zooms that has like a variable aperture, which is awful. I'll never do that again.
Terrible.
Worst thing ever. But I didn't know what I was looking at the time. And I loved that camera so much because the DSLRs, at the time at least, were far superior to mirrorless in a lot of ways.
Mirrorless was, what was this, probably 2013, 14?
Yeah, 12 to 14.
Okay, because that's when mirrorless has really started coming on the scene, like Panasonic and Sony were some of the first.
Yeah, so probably like 13.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I got this Nikon for pretty cheap, and the battery life was incredible. So I could take this thing with me on like weekend camping trips or whatever and not have to worry about, oh, my battery's going to die. How am I going to charge it?
Yeah.
And so I just loved shooting photos on that thing, and the files were awesome. So that kind of kickstarted me into photography. Fast forward a little bit to when I decided to take a career in bartending, which nobody saw that coming. But once I was in it, I was the guy that had a camera and kind of wanted to use it a little bit more. I had used it for various projects, just for personal stuff, hanging out with friends, going to different sporting events. I hadn't really done much with like product photography or anything like that, but I think that was probably part of the reason why it tickled my brain so much. Was I was like, I want to learn how to use Flash. Yeah,
dude.
And that just like kicked me in the nuts. So
man, it's we could have a whole episode on off-camera Flash and why using that just accelerates your creativity. Like get over being afraid of it. It's worth it.
Well, it takes that like concept or the reality, I should say, of the exposure triangle, and it adds that whole other dimension to it. So now it's an exposure diamond.
Right, and it's a diamond you have full control over most of the time because of the power of the Flash.
And I just started drinking the Kool-Aid so hard on that, and I loved it. I loved the results that I was getting. There is nothing that'll make an image razor sharp like a Flash,
dude.
Right? It's just it's frozen.
Anytime you see a portrait,
it's frozen. You
see those eyes, and they are razor sharp, and you're thinking to yourself, it's either really high end prime lenses, but most likely that with a Flash.
Medium format Hasselblad
with a Flash.
So
with a Profoto softbox.
I mean, as you know, you were doing so much of that stuff for a while,
and that's where I learned it too.
It was such an intoxicating experience to take a hobby that I was already improving at, gradually enjoying every minute of, and then to throw a whole new element in there that like basically I didn't know existed, right?
And none of your friends, I didn't really know any other photographers that were doing anything like that. I mean, they've been around forever, but nobody I knew was like, how can I do all this off-camera flash stuff, and like, how do I add more to it? Nobody, I think there's still just this general apprehension around flash photography.
Yeah. Well, until I started hanging out with you and Oscar, I didn't have friends that were photographers.
Yeah.
So everyone just thought I was a weirdo. But the thing with craft ended up working out because we needed to post pictures of drinks for menus or online, social media, whatever. And so I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'll get some practice. I'll take some cool images and then we can use them. Win-win. Which, of course, that led me to wanting to do that kind of work for other places. I did a little bit of that, but as we all learn, when you start doing it to make money, it becomes a lot less fun. And there's a lot of restrictions, I feel like, too. It feels like a conflict of interest because you develop a personality and a style to your work. And then if you're doing it for, your home base, in my case, craft, like I was devoted to craft, I felt like I was doing something wrong by going and doing it for somebody else, even if I was being paid. It just felt like a massive conflict of interest. I realize now that that's obviously not the case. Like if you're working full-time as a photographer, that's your style. People are paying you because they want those results.
Right.
But at the point that I was at where I was managing the bar and I was very, very deeply invested, I felt like I was sort of like, oh, I shouldn't be giving this to other people. I've got this cool thing going on, you know? So that kind of backpedaled a little bit. But that was basically how I got started with Flash. And the two things, basically, just to summarize my entire life with photography, the two things that have absolutely melted my brain and made me at all decent at what I do is learning how to use Flash and learning to shoot on film. Those two things trump everything else.
Have you ever developed film, like in a darkroom?
Yeah.
I've never done that.
Well, so I've never actually used a darkroom.
Okay.
I had this when I lived.
I've always just sent the film away to do it.
Which
I feel like I would thoroughly. I'm not about to turn a room of my house into a dark room, but I think I would thoroughly enjoy that hands-on, tangible. Like I've taken the photo, now I'm gonna like make it visible. I'm gonna make it visible for everyone. That process sounds really captivating to me.
It's super rewarding, but it is a huge pain in the ass.
We could talk about film photography. I could talk, I need to research more wartime photography. I took our conversation earlier, threw it into ChatGPT, and it spit some questions out. So I wanted to spend some time going through a few of these questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
First one: when you look back at how you got into photography, what moments or habits actually shaped your skill beyond what gear you were using?
I think one of the most important things, whether I was shooting digitally or on film, because those two things were sort of happening in tandem at one point, and they were just such different activities that they almost felt like actual different activities. And I think one of the most important things was just having one lens, one option. So being creatively limited in that sense and having to become more creative to get the shot that you want. Not just the whole like, oh, you got to zoom with your feet kind of thing. It's like, okay, that's fine. Like, it's understanding that lenses and focal lengths have different types of compression and that in a certain space you can only do what you can do. And so, for instance, this film camera that I have here, my Nikon F3, it's probably my most prized possession, which is very weird, but I just absolutely love that thing. I, for the longest time, only had a 50 millimeter lens. I shot hundreds of rolls of film over the course of a year or two, just on that one lens.
I mean, it's almost mythic, the Nifty 50. Like,
there's
really no other lens that like has its own name.
But also optically, it's incredible. It's a little bit tight for some stuff. Yes, it's really
I've seen
nice.
a lot of people shifting to 40. Thinking like
40 is
40
fantastic.
is the new. Yeah. Is the new. People are like 35, 50, and this group's come in and been like 40 is.
Well,
is
35 is truly amazing because I think if I had to pick one focal length to film like an entire movie on, it would be a 35, right? Because I feel like you can just literally do everything with it. 50 is usable in almost every situation. And obviously, when that's the only lens you have, that's just what you use.
Sure.
But optically, it's different. It has a little bit more compression. You get a little bit more separation. They're
Yeah.
usually faster apertures than other lenses,
Yep.
especially for the price. So
Yeah.
then that allows you to do, lower light stuff, which, I mean, when you're walking around London at nighttime on a
Yeah.
film camera, you need to let in as much light as you can.
Yeah.
So I think for me, yeah, just having, I'm not going to frame it, I guess, as like lenses matter only having one, but I'm going to say like the lack of equipment leads you to having to, you have to make less decisions about, oh, I wish I had this or I can't do this without
Yeah.
this. You have to make more decisions about how to get creative with what you do have.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that really helped me see the world through that like 50 millimeter lens. And because I think that was the same lens that I had for my Nikon as well. So for all things photo, I think I had a nifty 50 as well. So it was
Yeah.
like both cameras that I was using, it was just a 50. That was
Yeah.
it. And so you get so used to that once you kind of cut your teeth and then you realize that there's a whole vast world of different focal lengths and lenses that you can use, it sort of spikes your creativity in the right kind of way.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I find myself going back and forth now, because like you said, for the price point, a low aperture or a fast 50 is probably most people's first constant aperture lens.
It absolutely should
you
be,
get
even if it's not.
your kit camera with your kit lens, and then when you can start to afford something, usually at that point you're like, I need more light. So you're thinking about aperture because kit lenses are garbage. We talked about the variable aperture. And so you go for a 50 1.8 or a 1.4, and that's really easy to get those.
I'm so glad that I did not have access to a zoom lens before I had like my bearings with one focal length or like an understanding of what I was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like zoom lenses are an incredible tool that working photographers keep in their bag, right? For like, especially live event filmmaking, things like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well, I need a variety of shot sizes. I'm not sure where I'm going to be or how close I'll be able to get. You don't want to be in people's way.
Right.
So having, like a 7200, it's one of my favorite lenses of all time. I absolutely love that lens, but I'm so glad I didn't have one of those when I was first starting because
Yeah.
I would have been like, what am I doing? Like, it wouldn't have made sense. Like,
Yeah.
having the option to zoom, it's one more thing on the lens that you can rotate. Like, I feel like that would have just like blew my brain apart.
Yeah. I like I said, you see yourself going back and forth over time. You start with the shitty zoom, and then you get an okay prime, and then you get your 2.8 70 to 200. And then you start thinking about going back to like nicer primes. And so it's just this constant back and forth. And I'll report back to you what I find out. But I think here in 2 weeks when I go shoot with our air support operations squadron guys, I think I might take like half a day and just shoot on a prime. I've never done that. I've never tried to put myself in the shoes of old school photojournalists who only had primes and still got incredible results.
Yeah.
I've always just crutched on 24 to 70 and a 70 to 200. And there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes I wonder, like, how would even that, in the moment, run and gun, not a whole lot of time to think, just shooting from the hip as much as you can, and still somehow figuring out compositions in the midst of that, how would putting a prime in that mix, and that's the only thing I had for, like, that event that day, how would that change things? I'm really
For sure.
curious.
I think it's a really fun exercise. I think we all should be doing weird things like that. Like if you're somebody who only shoots on primes, I think you owe it to yourself to go out for a month with a borrowed zoom lens and just like see what you can create, right?
Yeah.
If you are used to shooting on a 35 all the time and that's home base, dude, get like an 18 mil and see what you can photograph.
Or if you think you can only shoot landscapes on an 18 mil, go get a telephoto and see how many more landscapes you can squeeze out of 200 millimeters.
That's a good point too, actually. I was thinking about this the other day. So obviously I've been really diving into filmmaking. I super want to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm watching a lot of other people's work and I'm kind of, analyzing different pieces of art and stuff like that. And I used to have this misconception that in order to do like a close-up of somebody, you had to use a long lens. And I've started realizing that it's so much more interesting
Yeah.
and up my alley to do the opposite, where it's like you actually use a wide-angle lens because it kind of distorts the face.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the story you're telling.
Right.
But like if you jam a 24 mil all the way up to your face to where your face is like filling the frame, but you can still see kind of what's going on in the background, especially if you're using deeper focus, which is another thing that I didn't used to do all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, what a cool way to think about focal lengths as different tools, right? Where, you know, I love wide focal lengths for kids.
Right.
Like kids running around and playing, they're splashing water, doing whatever. Yeah, you can shoot that with a long lens and stay dry. Or you can get a much cooler photo and you can get right up in it.
And it makes you feel, as not just the photographer, but as the person viewing the photos, like you were there. Like there's something almost necessary. Like telephotos can make, especially in terms of people photography, things feel a little sterile, like you're observing from a distance and you're not actually participating.
Yeah,
in
kind of voyeuristic.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had another thought in there. I can't remember what it was.
But no shade to the 70-200 because, like I said, that's
great.
Probably my second favorite lens of all time.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible for what it is used for and what the average photographer, I guess, would use it for. I'm not saying it's ever the wrong thing to use necessarily, but it's cool to think about, like, oh, if I want to get close to somebody's face, that's not my only option.
Right. And a lot of times in journalistic environment, the event I think about is we had some Army personnel come home from the Middle East, and they were hopping off the plane, and there's families hugging and crying left and right, and like, I want to be in all these different places capturing that emotion, and I can't. And it's the same way when we shot things in downtown Nampa. Like, I want to be in all these different places because I'm the only photographer, and the 70-200 allows you to be in a lot of different places at once.
It sure does.
But it doesn't replace a 35 mil or like any kind of wide focal length that really puts you into the action.
Well, the reason that I love zooms so much, especially for live events where you can't go back and recapture a moment or have somebody redo something, like a wedding or, certain corporate events, things like that, it allows you as one person, as a sole photographer without any other help, which usually is the case. Sometimes you might have help. It allows you to get a nice variety of images to capture that, right? You've got different shot sizes. You've got different perspectives, especially if you walk around kind of like how I do with the 70-200 attached to a strap, so I can disconnect it on the fly and I can grab my 24-70 out of the bag on my hip, right?
Yeah.
So quick changeover, because then you've got everything from 24 to 200 millimeters.
Yeah.
And I love having that option and having that variety.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's an exercise in want versus need. When you have a prime and that's all you have, you're still going to get great shots.
And you're going to put yourself where you need to be to get the shot.
You have to get them differently, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you're talking about the wide angle, like close-ups, I'm thinking of like the Willem Dafoe meme from The Lighthouse, where he's like looking up, just like all distraught.
But like imagine how different that would look if it was not shot that way.
Compressed, like even at 70 millimeters.
It would not have the same
that
vibe.
That was probably like a 16. Like that was crazy wide.
For sure.
Yeah. Next question. Every photographer has noise, or as I categorize it, bullshit they have to ignore. Expectations, trends, influencer, pressure. What kind of noise gets in your way the most, and how do you filter it out?
Man, that's a good question. I think the loudest noise for me recently is social media and feeling like I have to wear that hat in order to have anyone care about what I'm doing, which is not true, but also like technically is true.
Yeah, it's a little of both.
So if you were somebody who was very well known or established, you can kind of just do whatever you want. People will look you up. They'll find ways to see your work. It's probably being published, stuff like that. But as somebody who is I mean, half the time doing stuff that's just kind of passion project stuff, you know? The only way anyone's going to see it is if I post it. And that's fine. If I want to just post photos or a quick little video on like my personal page, it's just, you know, a handful of people I know that follow it, that's great. Where I really get caught up is trying to do that on behalf of my business. So there's things that I should be doing that I just have like talked myself out of doing. And I just don't really know. I don't know what the right answer is. I battle myself with this all the time. Because part of me wants to reject that noise. And it wants to be like, oh, I'm not even going to post anything on social media. I'm not going to do any of this. It's not serving like my purpose and what I'm trying to do. Yes, I want people to see what I create, but it's like I'm not gonna pander. Like I'm not gonna beg for it. If something's cool and somebody sees it and they think it's cool, then great.
Yeah.
Maybe it leads to a contact or future work or something like that. But I think it's just really hard for me to differentiate what is expected of me as a business owner, and in order to keep the business afloat and profitable and keep work coming in, and then like at what point do you just like turn that off, right? Like, so if I could afford to pay someone to just do that for me, I would. But I can't right now. So I think, you know, just as far as like obstacles, I think that's just one of the biggest things for me is just not really understanding what the correct path is for that. Like, should I listen to my gut and just be like, I don't feel like doing it, it's not going to matter?
Yeah.
Or should I listen to logic and be like, well, if you want anyone to see anything that you're doing or try to get to like the next level, you need to be, you know, thinking about what you're posting and how you're posting it and play that game a little bit. And I hate playing games.
I think one thing that's not talked about at all is, so there's this idea that you either do the thing or you don't do the thing. And I don't think that's the only answer. I think there is you can just take that energy and apply it to something else. And we don't talk about what those other things are. I'd like to think like this podcast is like, I've tried to start a YouTube channel. I don't have the time for that. You good, man?
Oh yeah, my contacts just started like stabbing me in the eye.
We got a bathroom right there with the mirror.
No, good. I was just suffering in silence. A good thing there's no video.
Right.
That would have looked really cool.
Yeah, there's this idea that you either do the thing or you don't do the thing, but not the reality that there's multiple things you can do. And so maybe I don't have the time or energy to be on camera and make a YouTube video a week and start a YouTube channel. I don't. I think that sounds interesting to an extent, but I don't have that. And so like maybe this podcast is a way for me to take that energy I have and filter it into something. And so it's not about like, there's these things I could do to make my business better and I don't want to do them. It's the things that have been posited to me as this is what you do aren't the only options. And there's not a lot. And influencer, like they're of course going to talk from their perspective. These are the things that have worked for me, so this is what you need to do. And it's kind of hard to see through that and be like, oh, but I could do this. And I feel like that would also give me a different platform from which to represent myself and talk about my photography and talk to other people.
Yeah, I mean,
like
I think
blogging doesn't really work anymore. That's another platform that not a lot of people are paying attention to. But like, there's other options outside of what all these influencers are like trying to jam down your throat.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of people out there that are so good at wearing all those different hats, right?
Yeah.
And so a huge part of what that boils down to is like, okay, well, it's a marathon, right? So it's like I can wear a lot of hats for a day or two, and then I stop wearing any hats or pants, right? Because I'm just like over it.
Yeah.
And that's like I guess that's like the final nail in the coffin of any type of venture like that, right? It's like I've tried to do the YouTube thing before as well, and it's just such a huge commitment because you're not just creating a video to post online.
Yeah.
You're thinking about all these other angles, and you're thinking about like, well, what kind of content can I do that I'm interested in doing but will be somewhat entertaining to someone else? You know, vlogs got really popular for a while. I guess maybe they still are. I don't know, actually. But they got really popular for a while with people like Casey Neistat because he had just such a like interesting life that we all kind of wished that we had as creatives. I don't know if other people that weren't creatives liked his stuff or if it was just the world of creatives.
Yeah.
But like,
it's a valid question.
Like, I wished that I had, like, a studio like he had, and that he was just like, oh, yeah, today I'm just going to, like, ride my skateboard down here, and I'm just gonna, like, I was like, wow, I wish I could do that.
Figure out some way to make it into a story, and it generates
and so it
millions
was,
of views.
yeah, it was like that thing where I was like, yeah, I want to watch what a day in your life is, because I want that, right? And there's something valuable to that. But I don't know if vlogs are really the same anymore. Like, I'm sure they're still around. I know a lot of people now, it's more just kind of short form, like TikTok stuff, and I don't really consume a lot of that content. I like stuff that's funny, and I like cooking videos. But like, there's so much influencer stuff out there, whether it's in a creative space or not, that is just so cringy to me. And like, the audacity to think that you're so cool and interesting that people are just lined up to see what you have to say about something. I don't know. I try hard to give people like the benefit of the doubt with whatever content they're posting, because it's kind of like, you know, good for you. Like, get your bag. Like, do your thing. Like, if you're good at something and people are watching you, like, that's great. But at the same time, I am a cranky old man, and I can see through a lot of weird, cringy bullshit, and I don't like it.
Yeah, yeah. And there is this... I think it just comes with the territory of being a creator, just leaning into trends. Like, some people will actively be like, not for me, but there's some people that no matter what comes around, they're kind of latching onto it, and you start seeing them put content out like that, and you're like, this doesn't feel like you. This feels trend-driven, algorithm-driven.
And I totally get it, because we're all out here trying to make a living and figure out what our path is. But if you think about the best art that's ever been made, which is all subjective, mind you, but if you think about the stuff that you like and appreciate and means the most to you, and I don't think there's a person in this world that doesn't appreciate art at some capacity, right? Like, I think that would be just an absurd statement.
Yeah.
But if you think about the stuff that's meaningful to you, did it go with trends, or was it like just this like unified vision of this person that was creating something, and then it is still awesome to this day because that was just what they did?
Yeah.
You know, like one of my favorites, street photographers, guy that honestly shapes the things that I'm still trying to create that are still not as good as what he did, was Fan Ho from China. Guy's incredible. And he just did what he did, and he did that for his whole life, and then we're all just still chasing like the thing that he did.
Yeah.
I don't think the guy was ever chasing a trend. I think he just was...
this guy up. Fan Ho?
Fan Ho, yeah. He has some of the most exceptional street photographs that I've ever seen.
That's a tall order.
And he used a twin lens Rolleiflex camera for almost all of it.
Oh, wow.
His use of shadow and light is the most tremendous thing I've ever seen.
Which is crazy to me, because there's plenty of people. His work reminds me of some, I'm going to butcher his name, a British guy who just started really hitting YouTube hard about a year or two ago. Alan Schaller? I can't remember. Anyway, this reminds me of his stuff, but the amount of post-processing that goes into some of his work, I think it's pretty obvious, but it seems like Fan Ho did this at a time where
it wasn't super optional. He was born in Shanghai in 1931, I think.
Okay, yeah, so a lot of what he was doing...
It was all film. It was all... I think he processed his film in his like family's bathtub, basically.
Dude, this stuff is wild.
It's insane. The contrast...
I'm going to go down a rabbit hole tonight.
The contrast on his images, his use of light, and just being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But also, like, how cool does China look, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I guess that's another point, is if you're interested This is something I wish I would have known a long time ago. If you're really interested in taking great photographs, take any camera you can get your hands on and spend money not on camera gear, but spend money on a plane ticket to go somewhere that's interesting.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Like, you're gonna take a $10,000 camera rig to your best friend's house and stand out in the backyard and take some great photos, or are you gonna take a film camera that somebody loaned you, or
dude.
an outdated Fujifilm from 2012 that still takes phenomenal pictures and take that to
I never
Germany
thought
or
about it
something
in
like
that way. I don't regret buying this 70 to 200 2.8, but that could have bought me a pretty decent out and there and back again plane ticket to someplace cool with what I had to take cooler photos than I've taken since I bought that lens.
Yeah. Well,
That's crazy to think about.
So I'm a huge advocate of having like the right equipment, especially as like a working professional, having the right tool for the job, and I'm a gigantic gear nerd. So I live very much in two worlds.
Yeah.
But the rational part of my brain that understands how good things happen knows that if you buy a plane ticket and go to Hong Kong, you're going to take way cooler, better,
More interesting.
more shareable and interesting photos
Yeah.
than you will if you spent that money on gear.
Damn. I would like to think I'm going to pause and not buy the next lens that I can afford and instead buy a plane ticket. But I'm probably still going to do that. But like,
The hard part about
I'll ask
that-
my wife, like, can I just take a quick trip to
Right.
New Zealand?
Right. So that's the hard
Instead of buy
part
this
is
lens.
whether you have one kid or three, we're kind of in a similar spot where it's hard to
Yeah.
just disappear for a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, but you could get a plane ticket to Seattle. You could go
Yeah.
someplace more interesting in the States.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be China, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know, it gets more difficult. So as you,
Yeah.
you know, as you have deadlines for things and you have things that need to be paid for and you have kiddos
Yeah.
running around and you have a wife that'll kill you if you leave them on their own for a couple weeks.
And don't take
understandably
them
so.
with you, yeah.
Yeah, understandably. So I'm very excited for Henry, my son, to get a little bit older to where we can take him on trips and he'll actually like not hate it and we can go as a family because then I have that excuse to do that. Like one of the places that I have never been and I just cannot wait to go is Japan.
I would love to go to Japan.
It's an absolute bucket list thing for
Yeah.
me. I mean, and I know people that have been there and they have made it even worse because they're like, oh yeah, it's single-handedly the coolest place I've ever been.
Coworker of mine just went there for like 3 weeks over the summer. Something ridiculous, like a pretty decent amount of time by himself.
Yeah.
Loved every second of it, and I just see all the photography that comes out of Japan, and I don't know, it seems like a really cool place to go.
Well, and it feeds the nerd part of my brain too, because as a camera gear nerd,
I mean, that's where Nikon's from.
that's where everything that's ever been cool, besides some stuff out of West Germany, which is super dope,
Yeah,
but everything else Japan,
yeah, Japan and Germany are
right? So
I highly recommend Germany. By the
yeah,
way,
Germany's amazing. I've only seen Berlin.
I've been twice, and I've been in southern both times around Munich.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
want to see it
Bavaria
all.
region, and it's
Incredible food.
amazing.
I had the best time there. I
Yeah.
wished I could have been there longer. So when
Beer is in another universe over there.
I love German beer. Well, so in 2018, I was dating somebody and she was very into travel and I had never actually had an opportunity to go to Europe. And so we planned this trip for like 3 weeks and the only camera that I brought was that Nikon F3 film camera
Oh, wow.
with the 50 millimeter lens.
Yeah,
So I have some photos I can show you.
I would love to see those.
A lot of them aren't great. I was experimenting greatly with different film stocks. So I brought
Yeah.
like some black and white, some color, a bunch of different stuff I hadn't used, and I was doing a lot of push-pull processing to see like what I could get out of them. So some stuff turned out really cool, and then some stuff turned out kind of like washed out or like not amazing. And I actually lost some of it because I had a hard drive crash on my personal computer at that point in time. So
Yeah.
almost all of the color stuff that I shot, I don't have.
Yeah.
Which is a huge bummer because a lot of it was in Italy and it was just gorgeous.
yeah.
But I do have some cool photos that I can show you from that. But it was so awesome taking a trip and just being present, right? Like
Yeah.
I didn't buy like the plan on my phone where like you could have service over there.
Yeah.
So like literally I was using a paper map to get around. I had a film camera and I was just like in the moment. People thought, I'm sure, that I was a time traveler and a lunatic.
Yeah.
And the airports gave me a ton of crap because I got this like lead lined bag for my film, because when they run film through
Oh, yeah.
X-ray machines, it can mess them up. And so I had it like all in this thing, and like I'd tell them like, hey, can you hand check this or
What
whatever?
the hell is this?
They thought I had a bomb every single time.
Oh, yeah.
So they
We
scanned.
can't see through this.
Yeah.
What is it?
They scanned the hell out of my film, but happy to say that most of it turned out okay. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah.
Dude.
The moral of that story is travel. If you're at all interested in traveling, you're going to get way better
yeah.
photos if you just go somewhere with an okay camera instead of going nowhere with a great camera.
Dude. Couldn't have said that better. I think I want to do 2 more questions. I mean, we could sit here and...
Yeah, what day is it?
Yeah,
It's only
right?
9:30. We're doing okay.
Yeah, I just don't know if anyone's going to listen to a 2-hour podcast.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got to cater to people's...
Yeah.
Not really. Like, I don't care that much about people's attention spans because I want this shit to be good. And, like, I hope, like, I'm not like... I think there's like genuine value in talking about these things, but at some point people are just going to check out.
You do have to hit that sweet spot though. Like think
Yeah.
about your commute, you know, like so
Yeah.
let's say it's like kind of an hour if you're around that time frame, or people that have like a 30-minute commute,
Yeah.
they can listen to it in 2 chunks and it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Yeah, you don't want to have it too long unless you're Joe Rogan
Yeah,
with his 3-hour
for some
podcast.
reason people still check into those. I mean, regardless of my feelings about Joe Rogan, it's just 3-hour podcast.
It's a long podcast.
It's a long podcast. I can't think of like even Critical Role. Like their D&D podcasts are incredibly long. I don't listen to them because it's too long.
It's a huge commitment. Like if I have
Yeah.
3 hours to burn, it's not going to be on a Rogan podcast. I'm probably going to watch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, or I'm gonna listen to 3 episodes of a podcast I really like,
Yeah.
where they're talking to 3 different guests, and I'm getting more out of it.
Yeah, I feel like podcasts really are that thing that are just they're so consumable.
Yeah.
Like when guests are interesting, or I guess like the podcast itself, like the core content is interesting. Like man, you can just sit there and really dive in.
Yeah, too easy.
Are you gonna edit all the burps out of this?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go edit quite a few things out.
The old cold smoke's getting me.
Oh dude, it's good though.
It's so good. I haven't had one of these in 2 years, I think.
Dude, happy to. I had a coworker of mine go
Wow.
to the brewery. She and her husband, a couple of dinks, like all they do is travel around and go to breweries. And she was at the brewery, and she's like, "I got you a case." I'm like, "Sick." I'm thinking like a 4-pack. I get back to the office, and she got me a whole case.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
I've been spending like the last 3 months going through that, and it's been a joy. All right, let's see. 2 more questions. What's something you had to unlearn or stop caring about to make room for healthier, more sustainable creativity? And this kind of aligns with that last question, but I think the unlearning or de-influencing aspect is important here.
Yeah. I think with anything, you pick up these like weird little bad habits along the way.
Yeah.
I know I definitely did a million times in like my music journey, right? Simple things down to like, oh, you're holding the pick wrong, but you get used to doing the thing that you're doing, and then when you get to a certain point, you're limited because of the way you've chose to do it, and you have to relearn. Like, if I want to get better,
Yeah.
I have to go backwards. So that's really hard. I don't know that I've had an experience with photography that I would describe as relearning.
or unlearn.
Or unlearning rather.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've had any bad habits to that degree. I think my journey has just been just constantly refining to try to make mediocre images actually good. Like I used to think that a good image was just one that was really, really like sharply in focus. Didn't matter what it looked like or what the image was of. It was like, wow, look how sharp it is. It's like, okay, that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
So I've come a long way in that regard, but I think single-handedly the biggest thing that did anything for my quality of work and my peace of mind was just not giving a shit what other people thought about what I was making.
Yeah.
And I know that's more of just a mindset thing, so it's not really answering the question, but I do think that that's a pitfall that I am super guilty of in the early years, and that a lot of people are guilty of, especially starting out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of opinions and influence and stuff coming around, and people get really excited to like show their work, but then if people don't think it's like amazing, then they get really down on themselves. And I think there's just so much freedom when you just don't care.
Yeah.
Like you're creating it for you, not for
Yeah.
them. But if you create it for you and it's really good, then they're gonna like it too, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even if they don't, then like who cares?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, that was probably a really half-assed way of answering that question. Let me try to think if there's actually something I had to unlearn.
I can go. What do you think?
Yeah, go for it.
So one thing, I don't do this nearly enough, and I just did it today. In fact, and it was today's photos, and was today Monday, and I took some photos Saturday night. We went to the lights in downtown Caldwell, and so I took photos this morning, and I've had to unlearn that everything I take needs to A, matter, B, get any kind of approval, or C, even seen the light of day. And so I formatted that memory card. There were some decent photos on there. I could have edited them, could have put them on Instagram for a few likes. I don't know if any of them were portfolio worthy, but it's been a long time ago now, and I can't remember who I first heard it from. This idea that the process of photography and shooting is just as important as the product. And of course, you can't do this with client work, but like, there's value in going out and just doing it, composing a thing, putting these things into practice. Go ahead, look at the images, and then just get rid of them. Like, I don't advocate, and I don't do that a lot, but every now and then it's just kind of, I don't know, it's this interesting feeling that I recommend people give it a shot. Go and take some photos, and unless there are like some absolute bangers in there that are going to be on our portfolio and get you a client or something, and you want people to see them, like, if you're not going to format the card, at the most, just keep it for yourself and maybe print it and hang it on your wall so you can look at it. But like, do it for you. Do it for the process. Do it only for you. Don't show anyone else. And I kind of like, that's how I learned to do things for myself outside of my client work and outside of my job with the Air National Guard and with Boise State.
That's really cool. I've never really thought about that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever really done that. But it also made me think while you were describing that, what a cool exercise for somebody who's just looking to, maybe they're just getting started, or maybe they're kind of in a rut and they're just looking to like figure out maybe like how they can become like the better version of themselves creatively. What about making yourself like a photo time capsule? So you go out and you shoot and you save the photos and you put them on a drive, but you never look at them until like a year later.
Yeah. It's
And
not even you go back and look at old photos and like re-edit them. Like, you specifically set aside time to create things that you would forget about.
Yeah.
And now you're going back to look
And
at
just,
them.
you know, seemingly random, like, you know, not like big events where it's like, oh, I'm going to for sure in a year's time, I'm going to go back and I'm going to edit those and use
Yeah.
them. It's like, it's analyzing, what did I shoot? Was I really reliant on certain elements? Did I frame everything the same way? Have I gotten better? You know, like in the months after that, did I get better at framing or composition? Like, you know, just actually using it as an exercise to be like, not did I progress? Because obviously if you're practicing your craft, like, yeah, you progressed, but in what way?
Right.
So it's like quantifiable.
Right.
I think that could be really cool. I think even at where I'm at right now, I think I would actually enjoy doing that. Maybe I'll consider that. Especially now that I have all these fun vintage lenses I've been collecting. Maybe I'll just start doing some photography with them.
Yeah.
And I'll just make myself a little time capsule.
I mean, yeah, what does it hurt? Yeah, I think a lot of us can go out and shoot something and edit it and put it out there, and at least our close circle of friends will be like, good job. But if you need to remind yourself, if you feel like that is some of the bullshit that's getting in the way of you pursuing photography, then do that. Go out and take photos, still do it, but don't show anyone. I feel like that can go a long way.
For sure.
Like that, you validate yourself. And I do like that idea. I kind of want to try that. Like once a month, go out, take some photos, and don't even edit them. Just put them on a drive.
Yeah.
And then
1 day a month.
5 year, like do that for the year. And then like 5 years from now, go back, be like, okay, what were these? And then maybe go through and edit them. And I don't know. I think
And
there's...
maybe you do find a few gems too.
Yeah. And still you're doing that for you. Like that's your own quantitative process. You're not putting that at the feet of anyone else and asking for approval and then letting that approval dictate the next thing you create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea. I honestly, we should figure out what that looks like, and we should start on the same month. We don't have to do the same anything else, but we should just be like, hey, this is the month we're going to start, and then like evaluate it like maybe like year.
Yeah.
And see if you want to go further, kind of thing. I don't know. Might be a cool exercise.
Or go get like a disposable camera.
Yeah.
Once a month. And every time you go out to shoot, use it and then just put it on a shelf. And then a few years, go get all 12 of those disposable cameras and go get them
just have them numbered.
Processed. And
I mean, you could do the same thing with film, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just shoot a roll, not send it to be developed, and just number it, and then send it in. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of interesting.
That's how you know that you feel good about what you're creating, and it's not contingent on what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
That's cool, yeah.
Let's see. What should the last question be?
I don't know. Make it good. Got to sound smart for people.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about that. Yeah, this is a good one. For photographers trying to stay passionate without burning out, what mindset, practice, or perspective has helped you stay grounded between shoots?
Well, I think one of my lifelines, I guess, is the fact that I am just obsessed with trying to learn new things. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
So just staying curious.
Yeah, basically. I mean, but, there's so many free resources out there. So just, not everything on YouTube is good. But when you really start watching a lot of videos on a specific, topic or whatever, mm-hmm. The algorithm's pretty good at this point, and it feeds you more and more of it. And so you find these videos or these people that create videos that are standouts, that are just like incredible, wealth of knowledge. And so you find a couple of those, and you've got a lot to watch, right? And so you've got some homework to do. And what I like so much about that is it gives me sort of a fresh perspective on some of the things that I'm already doing, like maybe a different approach. That was how I got interested in doing flash photography, like we talked about earlier. Is I didn't really ever think about that as an option. I started watching videos to figure out how to do it, how to, dip my toes in the water, and that led to something huge for me. Mm-hmm. And so I think just like that curiosity. You don't want to become complacent with like what you do creatively. So I think maybe too, for people that are like me these days and you don't really have the money to like buy new stuff, watching a lot of the really good like DIY content on YouTube can give you a ton of really, really cool creative ideas, whether it's for photography or videography.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you can do on the super cheap with, household items or things that you can buy for really, really cheap. And it's like, okay, yeah, it would be nice to buy that $400 diffusion material that you want for this thing that you wanted to shoot or film, but you could also go buy like a $5 like shower curtain, and get very similar results, So I think that's a really good angle. When budget is tight, you don't want to have that as an excuse to not do anything creatively.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and especially if you get a really good image, sharing that under that like construct where it's like, oh yeah, I did this with like free stuff that I had laying around, that makes it actually like cooler, right? It's more brag worthy than like, oh yeah, well I used $20,000 worth of equipment to take this photo. Like, okay.
I remember when I saw, people listening to this aren't gonna know this backstory. I went to my job currently in the military is a photojournalist, and to do that, I was cross training for being a crew chief, a mechanic, but I had to go to a 6-month school in Baltimore, and this is in the midst of this is 2021. 2020, COVID kicked off, and everyone's like, don't go outside. And I'm like, well, I want to do something creatively fulfilling with my camera. And so that's when I turned to working with breweries and taking photos of beer and like staging stuff and learning how to work with that whole thing. And I remember that was going well, and I was building a following and like talking to some people who were in that space creatively, and it was a really cool thing. And then I go to Baltimore, and I don't have any of my lights. I don't have anything to do this cool stuff, and so I'm just like, okay, so I had all this momentum, and now after 6 months, is it just gonna like fizzle away? Like this sucks. And so I remember I got those like accordion clothes, like drying rack things. I got that, and then I got like some white pillowcases, and then I still had a strobe that was lent to me. Like every student there got a backpack full of gear, and this is what you created everything with. And so I had that. I had a 70 to 200 that was a part of that kit. So I still had some good gear. I just didn't have any of the studio stuff. And so I like created, and I'll have to show you the image. Got some beer that I thought was really cool from the East Coast, and went to the local BX on base and got a bunch of like props and like leaves and stuff for this like fall pumpkin-y beer, and used like this like finagled together diffusion panel with like I think it was just some poster board to like bounce the light and like kind of shape things, and it was totally put together from like crafts that I purchased on base, and I thought it was really good. I was proud of it. Like I created something without all of the fancy stuff involved, and I think pushing my creativity in that way really made me understand that you don't need all of those fancy things to produce something. Like you can just be resourceful.
100%. And like I said, it's way more brag worthy when you get something really cool out of it, because it's like, oh yeah, like I MacGyvered this.
Yeah.
You know,
like if you could see the back end of that, you'd be like, what the?
I use tape way more than I should.
Yeah.
Like I literally just filming the other day. I shouldn't say this because it makes me sound super pro, but I didn't have my tripod plate. I don't know where it was. I left it behind. I literally gaffed my 70 to 200 to the top of the tripod, and
amazing.
I mean,
but you had the tripod collar, so you still had the foot. So like, it made it a little more stable.
Which is why,
which
is why I did it with, because for 2 tripods I just had 1 foot, right, or 1, and so I was like, well, I'm going to do it that way with the 70-200 because it has the tripod foot, so that I can actually get like the tape on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care as long as it doesn't fall and break. I don't care. But I love tape, dude. I've always loved tape. I used to make just things when I was a kid. Like, you know, you'd always find like the perfect tree branch and try to make a bow and arrow out of it. Yeah. It never worked, but you always tried.
Yeah.
I tried to make myself a bullwhip once again because of Indiana Jones. That didn't work either because I could whip it around things, but then I'd try to swing on it and it would just break and I'd fall on my ass. But yeah, no, I think, back to, I guess, your original question, the concept of just kind of staying hungry and just like learning new techniques or new ways that you can use techniques that you're already using. That may not be for everybody. That may not be the way that, your mind works, but for me as a nerd, it's always really like tickled my brain to think about like, oh, I could do this, or what if I did this? And also like this sounds weird, but like one of the best ways for me to stay limber creatively is doing free stuff for my friends. Mm-hmm. Like I have lots of friends that do music or whatever, and it's like, oh, like let's shoot an album cover, or let's shoot a music video, or things that I don't typically spend a ton of time doing. And it's like, oh, this will be fun. And I start thinking about it, and then you kind of come up with ideas, and
like, and that's creativity you chose.
Yeah. And it's cool because it's like they are super thankful to have you helping them
Yeah.
because that's not like what they do, but at the same time they're your friends, so like you're gonna do what you want to do, kind of like
Yeah.
like they have input, of course, like, oh, what do
Yeah.
we need this to be, but also like you're like, just hold my beer, like
Yeah.
let me make
And you're going to
this.
do some of your best work because it's your friends.
For sure. And
Like,
so even though it's,
where else do you give a shit?
yeah, there's no
that
there's no
much?
pressure, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's your friend, you're gonna make something really badass. It's not this like high end client that's like, well, I'm gonna pay you an absurd amount of money, but don't mess up.
Yeah.
You know, so there's no pressure.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a really cool thing that I've done over the years as well. And I don't plan to do those things. I'm friends with a lot of people that aren't really in that world. They're creatives, but they're not creatives with a camera necessarily.
Right.
Right. And so I find myself in that position pretty frequently.
Yeah.
But
Dude.
yeah.
So, episode recap. Instead of buying a lens, buy a plane ticket.
Yeah.
If you want to stay creatively motivated, do stuff, if not for yourself, for other people,
And watch YouTube.
for fun. And yeah, YouTube. I'm honestly shocked, and I talk about this all the time, that there's not some sort of way to track, not only to like track how much YouTube you've watched on a specific topic, but to rate creators based on quality of that content. Like there's people who just like put out random gear reviews, and then you have people like Flern who really dig in deep to like the inner workings of Photoshop, and that feels like you're getting a high-end education just watching those videos. Like if that you talk about college credit hours, and I think about like YouTube credit hours, like how many associate's degrees I would have from watching hundreds of hours of good creators creating informative content on YouTube.
Dude, it's like a masterclass.
Yeah.
When you find a really good creator or a really good video or series of videos,
Yeah.
I mean, it truly is insane. The fact that it's free, like I'm like, wow, like I would have paid money for this.
Yeah.
There's a channel that I started watching recently. I don't know if they're super active anymore, but a lot of their videos are like 3 to 5 years back. Insane content. Like the quality
Yeah.
is just unreal. It's called Media Division.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff with filmmaking, which obviously I've been going hard on lately. And they do a lot of like technical lens reviews as well, which is really cool. Like the nerd part of me is like, okay, well, if I am deciding if I want to spend money on something, I want all the facts, right? I want
Right.
to know like what I'm getting into. And so for stuff like that, just insanely good content. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know how they do it.
Yeah.
Like the amount of production that goes into it, I'm just like, wow.
And that's a really good way to stay creative. And I think if you're looking for some kind of way to like jog your creativity, whether it's one of the exercises we've talked about or not, just talking to other creatives about what YouTube content is inspiring them to change how they do things or reconsider. Like I think that's a really good practice to have.
For sure. And I think that this kind of just came to me actually. So I'm not going to derail this whole thing, but before we wrap it up, I think to answer that last question, one of the other ways that you can really fuel creativity and see growth is to actually dive into other forms of art
Absolutely.
that are not involving a camera.
Yeah, don't be entirely motivated by photographers.
Yeah.
Painters.
So like I love
multimedia
drawing
artists.
and painting. If you're somebody who's into graphic design, all of these things go hand in hand, right? You start looking at
Yeah.
color palettes, you start looking at color theory, you start looking at contrast and you look at composition. I mean, it's huge. Imagine if you're a graphic designer
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, well, you're constantly thinking about composition.
Yeah.
I have this journal I'll show you after we wrap the episode, but this is the journal that I took with me in 2018 to Europe.
Yeah.
And I just wrote my thoughts at any point and drew like weird little pictures and stuff.
Dude,
And it was
I
such
didn't know
a
you could draw.
it was such a cool little like creative outlet.
Yeah.
And it like when I got back from that trip, I was almost like, wait, should I do like more of this? But then I didn't have time, so I didn't.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like if I
Yeah.
get to travel more at any point, though, like I've still got pages in here, kind of
Yeah.
thing. So like, yeah, it was just like that. It kind of made me think about like, don't pigeonhole yourself to like your one thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you're like trying to figure out how to make cooler images, go look at like go watch some Bob Ross videos.
Yeah.
Watch that dude work, man.
And maybe you feel like you are pigeonholed because of your profession into one thing. I think if you're properly motivated and you have just enough time, not a ton, you can start to channel your energy into something that grows into something else.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think all of us have that available to us, like I do with 3 kids. And so I'm not going to say I'm busier than everybody else, but I'm pretty damn busy. And I'm finding ways to let other things motivate me and inspire me to change my creativity in certain ways. So I think that's always an option.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, I think, as we go through our life too, we naturally just sort of get interested in new and different things, and maybe some other stuff that we were interested in starts to fade. And I think that's perfectly natural. I think I used to be kind of hard on myself about stuff like that. I felt like I was, abandoning something if I didn't really feel like doing it anymore. But I think it's just important to remember that you can always come back to something. And if it's just a hobby or a passion, there's nobody putting a gun to your head saying you have to do it. If the passion's not there right then, just do something else. And then
and you have all the tools in your backpack.
It'll come back around. And if it doesn't, then I guess it wasn't meant to be, kind of thing. So because I feel like I have way more hobbies than any reasonable person should, and I don't have time for them. But when the opportunity arises and I feel like drawing something, it's like, cool, it's right there.
Yeah.
So
you stretch that creative muscle.
It's just like riding a bike.
Yeah. Dude, thanks for being on the first episode.
I feel actually really important, so that's cool.
You are important.
Yeah.
And I value your creative input, honestly.
And I just want Oscar to know that he is not first and I am.
Suck it, Oscar.
Yeah.
I thought about
you,
somehow framing this as the second, even though it's the first. But
well, I guess technically this is the second though, because you did the pilot.
Yeah, right. But the first with a guest.
Yeah,
we'll get Oscar on here.
Yeah. Well, it'll be cool to see this grow because I'm actually really interested in hearing, the points of view from other creatives as well. So. A lot of
photographers I admire that I've never talked to, and I hope this is a platform to bring them on and for me to learn, but for them to talk from their extensive experience to other people about how do you do this long term and how do you still love it.
Well, I hope it becomes a jumping off point for you and I to meet and interact with some of these other people that we kind of see eye to eye with or think they make great work, and it's like, hey, let's go somewhere and shoot around for a weekend. Let's go fly somewhere. It's like kind of making friend connections.
Yeah.
Not necessarily work connections or that's kind of shady. I feel like that's weird.
Like that third space concept.
Yeah. Where it's just when you just think someone's really cool and you just want to hang out with them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, the OG concept of friendship. No strings attached. It doesn't really matter.
It's not transactional.
Yeah. I think that's really, really cool. And maybe this becomes a way to just, link up with like-minded people and go have these cool shooting retreats. Dude, and just wouldn't that be cool?
That's the dream.
Just go somewhere.
That's the dream.
I don't know.
We're all going to go to Italy.
Yeah. Italy.
Or Japan.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
I'm super into it. And I really want to make films, so if you guys are all bringing cameras and taking photos, I'm going to make a documentary. So
yes,
let's get it going.
Dude, appreciate it.
Thanks everyone listening. Thanks, Joe. You can't see this handshake, but it just happened.
We shook hands. And I'll probably reiterate this again. If you want to follow along, we're on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us there. Music was written and performed by J. William Miller, and I'll drop all of the necessary Instagram profile links for both John and myself and Jay and everybody somewhere you can find them. So again, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you at the next one.
find out who you call friend. So decide it's time for the wasting and drive your Chevy into the ground. Next time you get the chance, no, I may not be around. Go and climb on every mountain, oh, and ramble through every town. I may be sick and tired, but I'll never settle down. Let my life begin and tell how to stare right down the barrel. You don't have to feel so while you're living in death's shadow. And there's a peace found in the gallows, knowing you already lost the battle. So decide it's time for the wasting and drive your Chevy into the ground. Next time you get the chance, no, I may not be around. Go and climb on every mountain, oh, and ramble through every town. I may be sick and tired, but I'll never settle down. To dust you will return. It's a short and sweet arrangement, and I'll tell you what I've learned. Ain't no time in life worth wasting. Don't let your worries drag you down. This may be your last chance to set your feet on solid ground. And when you've climbed on every mountain and rambled through every town, if you get sick and tired, don't you ever settle down. I said if you get sick and tired, don't you ever settle down.